Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear brothers and sisters. There exists a surah in the Quran that carries healing for the soul, guidance for the lost, and strength for the weary. It is not just a collection of verses, it is a divine key unlocking the doors to peace and tranquility. It speaks directly to the heart, illuminating our path in times of darkness. Today, we will explore the wisdom of this surah, uncovering why it remains a refuge for those who seek Allah's mercy. May our journey through its teachings bring us closer to the Creator. The weight of revelation is not merely in the words themselves, but in the moment they descend upon the earth. Every surah of the Quran was revealed with divine precision, meeting the needs of the believers in their most critical moments. This particular surah emerged in a time of hardship when the early Muslim community faced hostility, isolation, and trials that tested the very core of their faith. Imagine the streets of Mecca, narrow alleys echoing with whispers of rejection, homes divided between belief and disbelief, merchants losing their livelihoods because they declared that Allah is one. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his companions bore the brunt of relentless persecution. In the midst of this storm, Allah revealed verses that were not just words but lifelines. Each syllable carried hope, each revelation a shield against despair. In Mecca, where the revelation first illuminated the darkness, the message was simple yet profound. Tawheed, the oneness of Allah. The surah stood as a defiant proclamation against idol worship, a beacon of divine truth amid a society drowning in polytheism. It strengthened the believers, reminding them that suffering for the sake of Allah was not in vain. The Quran reassured them, "And those who strive for us, we will surely guide them to our ways, and indeed, Allah is with the doers of good." Surah Al-Ankabut 29:69. But the mission of Islam did not end in Mecca. In Medina, the landscape changed. Here, the believers were no longer an oppressed minority. They were a growing nation tasked with establishing justice, unity, and governance. The surah, in this new phase, addressed laws, community ethics, and the principles of leadership. It became a guiding constitution, shaping the moral fabric of the nascent Muslim society. Beyond its immediate impact, this surah transcended time, leaving even non-believers in awe. Its eloquence stunned the poets of Arabia. Its wisdom confounded its detractors. There were those who, upon hearing its verses, admitted, "This is not the speech of man." Even hearts veiled in denial could not resist the sheer power of divine revelation. Thus, this surah was not merely spoken, it was lived. It was recited in the silence of the night by the Prophet, peace be upon him. It was whispered in the prayers of the oppressed, and it was carried in the hearts of those who knew that Allah's words were, and will always be, the ultimate source of guidance and strength. Some words carry more than meaning, they carry power. They descend upon the heart like rain upon dry land, reviving the soul, nourishing faith, and bringing clarity where there was once confusion. This surah is among those divine words that transcend mere recitation. It is a refuge, a source of strength for the weary, and a shield against the unseen battles of life. In a world filled with uncertainty, where fear clings to the soul like a shadow, this surah stands as a reminder that Allah is ever near. When whispered in the stillness of the night, its verses weave a protective barrier around the believer, shielding them from the whispers of shaitan, the trials of this world, and the torments of the next. As Allah assures us, "Indeed, this Quran guides to that which is most upright, and gives glad tidings to the believers who do righteous deeds, that they will have a great reward." Surah Al-Isra 17:9. The heart is like a vessel. Whatever fills it defines it. Doubts, anxieties, and worldly distractions can cloud the soul, but the recitation of this surah clears away the fog, allowing the light of faith to shine through. It reminds the believer of the vast mercy of Allah, instilling unshakable confidence in His divine plan. Those who embrace its message find their trust in Allah deepened, their patience fortified, and their hope rekindled. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, emphasized the unique power of this surah, declaring that it serves as a means of protection from the unseen dangers that lurk in the folds of existence. Those who hold it close, reciting it with sincerity, find themselves under the care of their Lord, safeguarded from trials they may not even perceive. Life's difficulties often feel like waves crashing against a fragile boat, threatening to sink it beneath the depths of despair. But this surah, it is an anchor. It teaches resilience, reminding believers that hardship is but a temporary tide, and Allah's mercy is the eternal ocean. With each recitation, the heart strengthens, the soul realigns, and the path ahead becomes illuminated by divine guidance. For the one who recites it, this surah is not just a chapter of the Quran, it is a companion, a healer, and a light that never fades. There are moments in life when burdens feel unbearable, when the weight of the world presses so heavily on the soul that even breathing becomes an effort. It is in these moments that the believer turns to Allah, seeking relief in His words, yearning for an answer to their silent prayers. And within the Quran lies a surah, one that is not just recited but lived, not just memorized but experienced. It is a divine remedy, a prescription written by the most merciful for every heart that aches, every soul that trembles, every mind that is clouded by confusion. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, once guided a companion who was drowning in hardship. His answer was not a mere strategy of this world, nor a reliance on material means. He directed him to the words of this surah. Through its recitation, with sincerity and unwavering trust in Allah, the companion found relief. His difficulty, once seemingly insurmountable, dissolved by the permission of Allah. And this is a promise for all who turn to the Quran for healing. As Allah reminds us, and we send down the Quran as a healing and a mercy for the believers. Surah Al-Isra 1782. This surah is not limited to a specific type of struggle. It is a solution for the heart weighed down by sorrow, the mind burdened with uncertainty, the home fractured by conflict, and the soul searching for peace. It has the power to soothe spiritual wounds, ease emotional distress, and even open doors to unexpected provisions in matters of livelihood. Many believers have witnessed its power, those who were drowning in debt, those who faced seemingly unfixable rifts in relationships, those whose hearts were shackled by grief. By holding fast to its verses, they found paths they never imagined, solutions they never thought possible, all because Allah's wisdom is beyond human comprehension. What appears impossible to us is effortless for Him. But this surah is not just a collection of words to be uttered in haste. It is a gateway to divine intervention. Its recitation is a declaration of faith, a sign that the believer trusts Allah's plan even when the road ahead seems unclear. Those who approach it with sincerity will find that their struggles are not only eased, they are transformed into opportunities for spiritual growth, drawing them ever closer to the one who holds all solutions. And so in moments of distress, let this surah be your refuge. Recite it with conviction, for within its verses lies a promise from the Creator, a promise that those who turn to Him will never be left without guidance, never be left without hope. There are some habits that shape our lives in ways we do not always perceive. silent forces that influence our thoughts, our emotions, and even the course of our destiny. Among these, the habit of reciting this surah regularly stands as one of the most powerful. It is not merely an act of worship, nor just a routine of faith. It is a door to purification, protection, and divine blessings that ripple across every aspect of life. The Quran is not just a book to be read in times of distress. It is a companion for every season of life. This surah, in particular, holds within it hidden treasures for those who commit to it with sincerity. Its recitation is a means of cleansing the heart from doubts, shielding the soul from harm, and inviting the mercy of Allah into one's affairs. As the Quran declares, "O mankind, there has come to you an instruction from your Lord, and a healing for what is in the hearts, and guidance and mercy for the believers." Surah Yunus 10:57. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, emphasized the immense rewards of reciting the Quran, reminding us that every verse carries a light, every word a blessing. Those who dedicate themselves to this surah will find its presence transforming their lives in subtle yet profound ways. Difficulties that once seemed insurmountable begin to ease. Doors that once appeared closed start to open. The heart that once felt restless finds serenity in the remembrance of Allah. Beyond its personal benefits, the regular recitation of this surah strengthens one's connection with the divine. It becomes a spiritual anchor, aligning the believer's heart with Allah's guidance. In moments of confusion, it provides clarity. In times of weakness, it bestows strength. In days of sorrow, it offers comfort. But such blessings are not reserved for occasional reciters. They are gifts for those who make this surah a part of their daily lives. Just as the body requires nourishment to survive, the soul requires the nourishment of divine words to thrive. Those who hold fast to this practice will find themselves walking a path illuminated by divine wisdom, leading to a life filled with peace, purpose, and fulfillment. Let this surah be your daily refuge, your secret source of strength, and your constant reminder that Allah's mercy is always near. The Quran is not merely a book to be read, it is a divine conversation. Every verse carries a message, every word a purpose, and every recitation an opportunity to draw closer to Allah. Yet, for the heart to fully absorb its light, the manner of recitation matters just as much as the act itself. This surah, a treasure of wisdom and guidance, unveils its true power when approached with sincerity, presence, and devotion. 1. Prepare your heart and mind. Before uttering a single word, pause, let your heart settle. Understand that you are about to engage in an intimate act of worship, a moment where the divine and the human connect. Perform ablution, cleansing both body and soul, for Allah loves purity. Choose a quiet place where distractions fade into silence, allowing the verses to echo deeply within you. Set an intention, not merely to recite, but to be transformed by these words. Let your heart whisper, "O Allah, I seek your guidance, your mercy, and your light through these sacred words." As the Quran reminds us, indeed, it is we who sent down the Quran, and indeed, we will be its guardian. Surah Al-Hijr 15:9-2. Recite with reflection, not just repetition. Begin with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, placing yourself under the infinite mercy of Allah. Let each word be pronounced with care, neither rushed nor careless. The Quran was not revealed in haste, and it should not be read in haste. Let your heart engage with the meanings behind the words. If you do not understand Arabic, read the translation, ponder over the tafsir, and reflect on how each verse applies to your life. 3. Engage with the verses. Recitation is not a passive act. It is an interactive experience. When you come across verses of mercy, pause and ask Allah for His blessings. When verses of warning appear, seek refuge in Him. When a promise of paradise is mentioned, close your eyes and imagine it, yearning for the day you will witness it. Let your soul absorb every lesson, every message that Allah has sent down. 4. Conclude with supplication. Once your recitation is complete, do not simply walk away. Raise your hands, for the best time to make dua is after engaging with the Quran. Ask Allah to allow the wisdom of this surah to settle in your heart and manifest in your actions. Express gratitude for the opportunity to recite His words, for every verse recited is a step closer to Him. 5. Integrate it into your daily life. Make this surah a part of your spiritual routine. Recite it in your morning or evening prayers, allowing its light to accompany you through the day. If lengthy, divide it into portions and ponder over it throughout the week. Teach it to your family so its blessings extend beyond yourself. The Quran is a living miracle, and its impact depends on how we embrace it. Approach this surah not as an obligation, but as a divine gift. Let its words shape your thoughts, soften your heart, and illuminate your soul. And with each recitation, may you feel a renewed sense of closeness to the one who revealed it. The Quran is not merely to be recited, it is to be lived. It is not enough to let its verses pass through the lips. True faith is when they take root in the heart and blossom into action. This surah, like the rest of the divine revelation, is a guidebook, not just for moments of prayer, but for the entirety of life. It calls upon the believer to become the message, to embody the lessons within its verses, and to align their actions with the divine wisdom it imparts. Faith, when confined to words, remains fragile, easily shaken by trials, easily forgotten in moments of ease. But when faith is coupled with action, it becomes an unshakable foundation, a force that shapes one's character, decisions, and way of life. Allah reminds us, "By time, indeed, mankind is in loss, except for those who believe and do righteous deeds, and encourage each other to truth and encourage each other to patience." Surah Al-Asr 103, 1-3. Patience, the mark of a true believer. One of the central themes of this surah is patience, the ability to endure hardship with unwavering trust in Allah. Reciting its words is a reminder that trials are not punishments, but pathways to growth. It teaches that the one who remains patient, even when life seems unbearable, is rewarded beyond measure. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, himself endured rejection, loss, and persecution, yet he never wavered in his mission. To truly live by this surah, one must cultivate patience in the face of challenges, whether in personal struggles, relationships, or unexpected hardships. Gratitude, a heart that sees Allah's blessings. The believer who truly absorbs the teachings of this surah does not wait for abundance to be grateful. They recognize blessings even in difficulties. Gratitude transforms every moment, turning hardship into an opportunity to seek Allah's mercy and success into a means of humility. The Quran emphasizes, "If you are grateful, I will surely increase my blessings upon you." Surah Ibrahim 14:7. Living by this surah means making gratitude a daily practice, thanking Allah not just with words but through actions, through kindness to others, and through using His blessings in ways that please Him. Perseverance, strength in faith, strength in action. This surah calls upon believers to persist in righteousness even when the world pushes against them. It is easy to recite a verse, but harder to live by it when faced with injustice, temptation, or adversity. Yet it is in these very moments that true faith is proven. To recite this surah is to commit to being a person of steadfastness, one who does not waver in integrity, who holds firm to moral values, and who never loses sight of the ultimate goal, nearness to Allah. Transforming recitation into reality. To truly live by this surah, let it be a daily reflection. In moments of anger, remember its call to patience. In times of hardship, trust in Allah's wisdom. When faced with temptation, seek refuge in its words. In times of blessings, let gratitude overflow. Faith is not measured by how beautifully one can recite the Quran, but by how deeply one allows it to shape their actions. Let this surah not just be a part of your prayers, but a force that drives every decision, every interaction, and every moment of your life. For those who live by it, Allah's mercy is ever near, and His guidance ever present. The Quran is not a collection of stories from the past, nor is it a book of distant wisdom meant only for reflection. It is a living miracle, one that continues to shape lives, heal wounds, and open doors where none seem to exist. The power of this surah is not theoretical. It is a force that has brought relief to the distressed, guidance to the lost, and blessings to those who trust in its words. Throughout history and even today, countless believers have turned to this surah in times of despair, only to witness the divine mercy of Allah unfold in ways beyond human comprehension. As Allah reminds us, and whoever is mindful of Allah, He will make a way out for them and provide for them from where they do not expect. Surah At-Talaq 65:2-3. A merchant's financial crisis turned to prosperity. One man, drowning in debt and struggling to sustain his business, found himself on the brink of despair. Seeking advice, he was told to recite this surah daily with sincerity, placing his trust in Allah's provision. Though his circumstances did not change overnight, he remained steadfast, convinced that divine assistance was near. Weeks passed, and suddenly opportunities he had never considered arose, new customers, unexpected contracts, and financial stability that seemed almost miraculous. What had changed? Not the economy, nor his skills, but his heart, now firmly anchored in faith. Marital reconciliation through divine wisdom. A woman, heartbroken by years of unresolved conflict in her marriage, felt she had exhausted all efforts. Counseling, advice, patience, nothing seemed to mend the growing rift. In her desperation, she turned to this surah, reciting it every night after Maghrib prayer, imploring Allah to heal what seemed irreparable. Slowly, something shifted, not just in her husband, but in herself. Conversations that once ended in frustration began to soften. Understanding replaced resentment. A marriage on the verge of collapse found renewal, not through human effort alone, but through the wisdom and tranquility that only Allah can grant. Emotional healing from deep anxiety. A young man, tormented by relentless anxiety, struggled to find peace. His mind was a battlefield, filled with worries and doubts that stole his sleep and drained his joy. A scholar advised him to incorporate this surah into his daily routine, not as a ritual, but as a medicine. With every recitation, his heart grew lighter, his mind clearer. He found solace in its words, comfort in its reminders, and over time, the weight of anxiety loosened its grip. Protection from unseen dangers. A traveler on a long and treacherous journey made it a habit to recite this surah for protection. One night, as he slept in an unfamiliar land, a group of thieves approached his camp. Strangely, just as they neared, they hesitated. One of them later confessed that they saw something guarding him, something they could not explain. This surah, recited with trust, had become a shield, proving that Allah's protection extends beyond what the eyes can see. These stories are not coincidences. They are reminders that the Quran is meant to be lived, that divine assistance is always near, and that no situation is beyond Allah's power to change. Whether one seeks financial stability, family peace, emotional healing, or protection, this surah offers not just guidance, but transformation. But its blessings are not reserved for a select few. They are open to all who approach it with sincerity. Recite it with faith, turn to it with conviction, and watch as Allah's mercy unfolds in ways you never imagined. The Quran is a light, but only those who open their hearts to it can see its brilliance. Its words carry immense power, yet this power is unlocked only when paired with sincere faith. Reciting this surah is not a mere ritual. It is an act of deep spiritual conviction, a conversation with the Creator, a declaration that one trusts in His wisdom, mercy, and decree. Faith is the force that amplifies the effect of this surah. Without it, the words are but sound waves passing through the air. But with tawakkul, trust in Allah, with the certainty that Allah hears and responds, these words become a shield, a key, a guiding light. As the Quran beautifully reminds us, and whoever relies upon Allah, then He is sufficient for him. Indeed, Allah will accomplish His purpose. Surah At-Talaq 65:3. Tawakkul, trusting even when you cannot see the path. One of the greatest tests of faith is patience, believing in the unseen, holding on to hope even when circumstances seem unchanged. Many recite this surah seeking an immediate solution, but faith teaches us that divine timing is not dictated by human urgency. Sometimes the answer arrives instantly. Other times it unfolds slowly, molding the believer into someone stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the blessing to come. A farmer does not plant a seed and demand a tree the next morning. He waters it, nourishes it, protects it, knowing that in time it will bear fruit. Similarly, the one who recites this surah must trust that Allah's response will come at the perfect time, in the perfect way. Faith transforms recitation into reality. This surah holds divine promises, but these promises become tangible only when accompanied by unwavering belief, sincere supplication, and righteous action. A believer does not merely recite and wait, he recites and acts. He takes steps toward improvement, whether in character, effort, or circumstances, knowing that the Quran is not a substitute for effort, but a guide that aligns actions with divine wisdom. Faith is not tested in times of ease, it is proven in moments of trial. Those who hold fast to the words of this surah with sincerity, consistency, and conviction will see its effects manifest in their lives, just as countless believers before them have witnessed. For Allah never abandons the heart that truly trusts in Him. The Quran is not a collection of isolated chapters. It is a perfectly woven tapestry of guidance, each surah complementing and reinforcing the others. Just as different nutrients sustain the body, different surahs nourish the soul in unique ways. This particular surah holds immense power, but when paired with other key surahs, its benefits are amplified, creating a spiritual fortress that shields, uplifts, and guides the believer. Allah reminds us, and we have certainly made the Quran easy for remembrance, so is there anyone who will remember? Surah Al-Qamar 54:17. Each surah serves a distinct purpose, like a key unlocking a specific door. Surah Al-Fatiha, the gateway to guidance. Often referred to as the opening of the Quran, Surah Al-Fatiha is the foundation of every prayer, the essence of supplication. It aligns the heart with divine purpose, ensuring that every recitation to follow is infused with sincerity and devotion. To recite this surah before any other is to prepare the soul, much like clearing a path before walking upon it. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those upon whom you have bestowed favor, not of those who have evoked your anger or of those who are astray. Surah Al-Fatiha 1:6-7. Surah Al-Baqarah, a shield against harm. Described by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as a source of protection against evil, Surah Al-Baqarah fortifies the soul against unseen threats. Its verses cast light upon darkness, safeguarding the believer from spiritual and worldly harm. When paired with our surah, it acts as a protective barrier, ensuring that the blessings received remain intact. And we sent down in the Quran that which is a healing and a mercy for the believers. Surah Al-Isra 1782. Surah Yasin, easing hardships and opening paths. Known as the heart of the Quran, Surah Yasin carries a unique ability to bring ease in times of distress. Its recitation has long been associated with unlocking difficulties, bringing clarity where confusion exists, and softening the trials of life. When recited alongside this surah, the believer not only seeks divine intervention, but also strengthens their resilience against challenges. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. Surah Al-Inshirah 94:6. Surah Al-Ikhlas, a declaration of Tawheed, oneness of Allah. Surah Al-Ikhlas is a powerful affirmation of Allah's absolute oneness, a reminder that He alone is sufficient for all needs. Reciting it alongside this surah solidifies one's faith, ensuring that every supplication, every plea, is directed solely to the Creator. It is a reminder that true success lies not in material gain, but in unwavering devotion to Allah. Say, He is Allah, the One. Allah, the eternal refuge. He neither begets, nor is born, nor is there to Him any equivalent. Surah Al-Ikhlas 112, 1-4. The power of synergy in recitation. By combining these surahs with the one we have discussed, the believer creates a holistic spiritual practice, one that provides guidance, protection, ease, and unwavering faith. Just as a structure requires multiple pillars to stand strong, a believer's faith flourishes when strengthened by the wisdom of various surahs. Let these divine words be your shield, your guide, and your source of endless blessings, for in the Quran there is not just light, but an entire universe of mercy waiting to be embraced. Dear brothers and sisters, let us make this surah a part of our daily lives, using its wisdom to bring us closer to Allah. If this message has touched your heart, support this channel by liking and sharing this video so that more people may benefit. May Allah bless us all with His infinite mercy. Ameen.